It's inexpensive, it's small, and it's incredibly agile, if you set it up right. Hey there, I'm John. This is Two Brothers RC, and this...
I'm having fun. I'm gonna get in trouble doing this. I know I am.
Yeah, you are.
Is the F-16 64mm from FMS. Just came out. I don't normally do back-to-back videos like this. I'm a little exhausted from having done the E-flite Super Decathlon, but I didn't want to have a chance of missing the release on this one, so we're doing it today. We're going to be flying this with an SMC 2800 battery, which should give it plenty of power. This is a high voltage pack, which I'm going to shove all the way to the back. We'll just get the center of gravity out of the way now. I know some of you guys love seeing that, so we'll put that SMC pack there, do this all one-handed because 64mm jets aren't going to go too far out of the way in terms of throwing the battery like crazy. I have to admit, I do like these new battery latches they're going with, where it looks like a fuel tank or an access port. Just press that in and pop it off. They've been doing that for the F-86, a couple other planes too. It looks really cool. Even the Cessna, oddly enough. That being said, check out the CG. Normally on F-16s, I shoot for balancing at or behind that little circle on the wing, which is right here. And I'm currently balancing right underneath it, which is right there with my middle fingers. So we're gonna go ahead and take this up and we'll start talking about the landing gear.
For today's review, I'll be covering metrics that apply to single 64mm ducted fan jets. I'll be covering the following: landing gear, flight time, agility, fit and finish, and avionics and lighting.
So while we talk about the landing gear here, I have to admit I do like the turn radius, but I dislike severely the sound. It's very rattly. You're gonna have to talk very loud to be heard over it because the camera loves to pick up those rattling sounds. And you also have to be careful, because it's an F-16, to not turn it too tightly when you're at speed, otherwise it will tip over.
FMS got almost everything right here except for the wheels, which have that typical rattling sound that I complain about often. I don't just complain because it sounds bad, it's also because the stiff wheels transfer all of the force of landing directly to the airframe. Which makes it a bit less stable on the ground than I would prefer. When you have stiff suspension, the only way to get shock absorption is through the tires. Airframes last longer with softer wheels or better suspension, or, ideally, both. In the middle of filming, my friend Mark came blasting through with his Cirrus, so I had to get down quick to stay out of his way. One thing that I need to mention is that I had a persistent left drift on wheels. I'll show you how to correct that toward the end of the video. Don't worry, there's chapters in the timeline that make it easy to find.
Damn it, I did it again. Lack of suspension makes the landings a little iffy, but the plane can handle it. It just sounds like crap. So again, I can't fault that for it. For a 64mm jet, that's pretty much par for the course. When you add suspension to a plane and you do a bunch of other stuff to it, you add more weight, which adds the wing loading to it, which makes the plane harder to fly, etc., etc. Did you get that?
Yeah.
I didn't anticipate that. And it's like stuck in the ground.
Oh no, not the pitot tube.
It's
good.
It's fine. But it did smush up the nose a little bit. Like, man, that's a strong crosswind I was trying to fly through, and I was doing my best. But then once it gets on the ground and you got that wind to contend with and you got that ground speed roll to contend with, it was either, do I want it to flip over on me or do I want it to nosedive? And I guess nosedive is what I wanted it to do because I didn't make it flip over. Another thing I'm going to mention while we're on camera here is that I apparently forgot to glue the vertical stabilizer as well as I should have. You may have noticed in some of the footage that the tail is waggly. You can see it now. It's a little waggly. That's because I glued everything up here and I put glue in the bottom of it, but apparently not enough on the side, so I need to put some thin CA glue in there when I get back home. But also, in the meantime, I made a stopgap measure. I put toothpicks as into the vertical stabilizer through the flesh of the foam to try to get it to hold a little bit better. Some of those knife edge passes were so strong that at such a high speed, the plane is just literally holding on the vertical stabilizer, which is enough to make it peel. As you can see it moving side to side here, that's enough to make it come right off. So if I hadn't caught that, maybe the plane would have crashed. Great content for the crash reel, but not for you guys to see what the plane's capable of. 4 minutes and 22 seconds on an SMC 2400 pack that I just pulled out. This thing is hot, but if I was flying it on the 2800s, I think I've got to gotten easily closer to 5 or 6 minutes. So definitely good flying plane for sure. Flight time is not a problem with this airframe. Quick update on the pack. We actually did manage to get 5 minutes and 41 seconds of flight, powered flight that is, with the wheels off, so you're gonna get more time with the wheels off. And honestly, I think the plane just flies better with them off. So unless you want the wheels for some reason, I'd say just leave them off.
Flight time is definitely not a problem with this jet, but let's look at how it handles with wheels or in a clean configuration next as we move into the agility section. I put 8 batteries through this jet on short notice to get this video done, and something I noticed immediately is that it rolls way better than other single 64mm jets that I've flown.
What I'm seeing so far, and this is actually our maiden flight with a bit of wind, is that with the battery shoved as far back as I can get it, this is actually very agile and doesn't feel like I'm flying a 64mm jet. I'm not even using full elevator throws right now. We're gonna go and aggressively pull it. Oh yeah, that has got some thrust and it's got some power to it. And that's all aileron roll too. Like the roll rate is actually really good. I'm impressed at how good that rolls actually. Normally these 64mm jets, they roll really kind of not so great. Like the Rafale is one of my favorite jets in 64mm size. And this F-16 outrolls it by a factor of like 200%, I would say. Got a decent gust of wind here to work with, so let's put it in safe and see if it can be hand launched next. Not a problem. And the center of gravity being as far back as it is really helps with maneuverability. Normally these 64mm jets are kind of on the doo-doo side, because they tend to be a little too nose heavy. This one I'm not having that problem with at all. In fact, I had to dial up my AS3X gains on the pitch to 70% at 2x gains in order to get it to behave. Like as you see, I have no problem backflipping it. Now let's turn off the gyro completely. Oh God. Yeah, it's still controllable, but man, it's very pitchy. I can feel it just barely moving the stick. Definitely flyable like this, although the full-scale F-16 probably flies a little bit further back on the center of gravity. Yeah, it's very pitchy. Probably flies a little bit further back, so I'm gonna put the gyro back where it was to help smooth out some of the control, make it a little bit easier to control. This thing is not lacking for thrust. I don't think it has one-to-one thrust, or if it does, it's able to briefly hover in the sky without thrust vectoring. But overall, it flies really nice. It does not feel like I'm flying a 64mm jet with all the sluggishness and lack of power that usually entails. As you can see, I have no problem yanking it around. No issues with high alpha either, especially into the wind like this. And it comes right out of it too. This thing has got plenty of power, runs on 4-cell packs, so I'm using SMC 2800s and 2400s. Oh, I gotta trim that down. First impression so far, the plane is faster with the wheels off. Holy crap, that's like 1.5 times faster. Look at it go. Holy crap, dude. Look at this thing go. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa! Did you get that?
Yeah.
Okie dokie.
Okay, bulky?
Yeah, so it's a little hot rod with the wheels removed, and it's way more agile. Oh my good golly, that's what I like to see right there. Without that extra weight being carried around and the extra drag, this thing is a hot rod. Oh my gosh, if it had full flying stabs, I think it would actually be very difficult to control. So far, I like wheels off. I'm having fun. I'm gonna get in trouble doing this. I know I am.
Yeah, you are.
So let's see what's gonna happen when I throw it into a high alpha pass. I know with this extra maneuverability that I've got, I'm gonna be able to get it into trouble faster than I want to. So we're gonna slow her down. Feet in throttle. Oh yeah, look at that go. As long as you keep the angle of attack about where it is now, it's not gonna stall out. And it's got enough thrust to just literally take off with that extra weight removed. Just barely missed that tree, didn't I?
Yeah. That was close.
Look, I'm having fun. Sometimes I don't care. But I gotta make this review, so I gotta make sure I don't crash. You having troubles keeping up at all?
Oh, no, not really.
Good. We're gonna come in low. There's your stall testing. If you let go of the elevator, it's not gonna stall. If you keep holding it, it will. It does kind of wing rock a little bit. But man, you can see that butt slide around the different maneuvers that we're doing. Dude, it's so maneuverable, it's insane. Just look at this thing go. It just has no problems at all being thrown around. Oh, I am loving this. Dude, like, it's not my new favorite jet. I'm not gonna tell you that. I've only flown it like 6 times now. But, is it a lot of fun? Yeah, it absolutely is. I think if I get it in real slow, when I bring it into land, I'm not gonna destroy the ventral fins. But we'll find out.
The ventral fins do come off if you want to avoid damaging them on grass landings, but they should take no damage at all if you land like this.
Not bad. I was probably in the way, wasn't I?
Only a little.
But you know what? It doesn't matter because I guarantee those ventral fins are fine. Totally fine. Look at that. What's my verdict so far between fins on or wheels on, wheels off? I'm telling you, wheels off. If you can handle it, depending on where you put the center of gravity, you can make it as mild as you want to be. But of course, if you put the battery where I put it and reduce the weight even slightly by taking that strap out and getting that CG shifted to the back, it's going to be very responsive. It's not going to fly like a plane with fixed stabilizers. And this thing literally will do whatever I tell it to do, just about. Holy
Goodness gracious, okay.
It's fun.
It's fun.
I wish that I had taken the wheels off earlier because this is the way to fly it for me. Your airspeed may vary. Maybe you prefer the wheels on, I don't know, but I'm telling you right now, this is how I like it. Look at how easily it slows down too in terms of agility. Like you just cannot get a lot of other jets to do it as nice as that because the wing loading is so low and I can feel it on the sticks that it doesn't bite me most of the time as I'm doing these high speed passes. And brakes like that without the plane stalling and crashing into us shows that I have a strong amount of trust in how the plane flies. Like watch this. That was a stall. It came out of that and it did wing rock a bit, but it still maintained stability. The AS3X system is tuned very well for me, at least, to get it to not crash. Could I do that with the gyro off? Probably. Do I want to? No. It's not a crutch. I just don't like flying my F-16s in a non-scale way, which means I'm going to use the flight computer to augment the way the plane flies and give it artificial stability, just like the full-scale jet. Could not have asked for a better cloud day, too.
Back to voiceover again, the fit and finish here is really good. FMS has definitely made huge strides in how their smaller jets look. The days of goofy looking 64mm jets are basically over. These look like truly miniaturized versions of their larger scale sisters in the 80mm, 90mm, and full scale variants. The only issue that I have with this jet is my usual gripe with the models that FMS makes. They never use white paint, and they always work with bare foam when something should be white painted. That might not bug you, but it's something that bugs me, so I've got to take a point off here. That and it's using stickers instead of decals again. So in terms of fit and finish, the F-16 64mm gets a 3 out of 5.
Crap, dude. I am having so much fun with this thing. And the best part about it too is it's going to be inexpensive and repairs are not going to cost much at all. So if you do happen to bork it up pretty good, you got nothing to really worry about too much.
Something that really impressed me with this jet is that its inexpensive price point didn't mean that FMS skipped adding scale detail to it. The entire jet is loaded with it. Not only that, but it comes with reliable plastic servos too. Now keep in mind that these review criteria will vary based on the class of jet. 64mm jets commonly use plastic servos, mostly to keep the wing load down, but also because metal servos would be overkill. It is rare to see a plastic servo on this jet strip even from what I'm doing with it. You're also getting lighting too, and the lighting is correct. Better still, the battery tray is well designed in the sense that you can physically place a battery and get a neutral to tail-heavy center of gravity, just the way I like it, without any mods. This is a bone stock jet that you're seeing flying around. This is outstanding work by FMS. With all of its review criteria added up, the 64mm F-16 gets a 22 out of 25. Now, all things aside, there are some places that FMS can definitely improve, and most of all would be using the same soft tires that the E-flite Viper 70mm ships with. If they can make those wheels for Horizon, there's no good reason they can't be made for this jet, because it needs it. Getting away from stickers and using white paint would also fix my other gripes with it. Otherwise, this thing is phenomenal. And if you like what you see, you can use the code FMS2NR to save 5% off this jet. There's a link in the description that you can use to support us and save some cash with our discount code.
Nice catch.
Glad I played baseball as a kid. I still have that hand-eye coordination. I was trying to grab it from the belly, but that I could do that at all is still pretty cool. Everything that I did with this plane, it was possible because this is a good airframe. F-16s are proven, they fly well, they are pretty cool to look at, although again, I maintain that they're kind of the timber of the sky when it comes to jets. It's like, there's been how many versions of this plane so far, but it doesn't matter because they fly well. That's one of the reasons why there's so many of them. This is a good looking plane. If you don't like that I'm gonna say it's an amazing jet, well, that's okay. I think it's an amazing jet. I think I've proven that it flies well. The fact that it's coming back with almost no damage from all that crap I just did to it is nothing less than really, really cool. Link is in the description if you'd like to buy one for yourself. I think you can use the code FMS2NR to save a little bit of cash on it. This is just, it's absurdly good. I need to go back and kind of, what is it, glue this vertical stabilizer on a little bit more so it stays put. But otherwise, this thing does everything that I was hoping it would do, because I was just expecting it to be a piddly little 64. But this thing flies and has the presence of an 80 or 90 in terms of how it does maneuvers. Now, if it just did like stuff like that, sure, but it does this. It literally will just pivot on the wings, which is not something that you normally see a 64mm jet do. I think even the Rafale has trouble with that but the way this thing is designed and the way I've set it up, again, with the center of gravity being where it is and a little bit more aggressive right here on the wing with the AS3X stability, keeping it stable, you need that much throw on the elevator with the gyro to keep this thing from crashing, because it's a real handful, but it's awesome, and I friggin' love it. I hope you guys will too. Links are in the description if you want one. FMS2 NR will get you 5% off the jet. Thanks for watching, guys. Let us know what you think, and consider joining us on Discord to let us know some more in person. See you around, guys.
And as promised earlier, here's how you set up the nose steering to be independent and trimmable. If you've got questions, hop on our Discord server. Either I or a member of the Two Brothers community would love to help. Make sure you read over the Setup Guides channel first, though.
All right, so the plane was pulling hard left the entire time when it was on the ground. The fix for that for me is to disconnect the nose wheel steering from the rudder Y connector and then run the nose wheel steering directly to the 5th channel, which is the gear channel, and then make a mix on my transmitter. That's a normal mix. Hopefully we can see this. And this mix is rudder to gear. And we're gonna go ahead and set it to 100 and 100. And if that's wrong, we'll just reverse it, because you never know exactly what the correct direction is gonna be. And that is not the correct, that was left aileron, I hit the wrong one. Gear, there we are. And it's backward. Now if we look at the plane, 100 and 100 is making the nose wheel turn left and right the wrong direction. So we're gonna go ahead and just set it to -100 and -100 in here. That's how you set up independent steering on a smaller plane like this. That way, when you're on the ground, the plane will actually be trimmable and adjustable. So what we need to do now is make another mix. So we're gonna go, again, normal mix. And this one is going to be a mix of, what is it? We're gonna use the left trim switch. So we're gonna go all the way down here to the LT option. And then we are going to make that control the gear channel. And we're going to set this to 50% and 50%. Okay. And then now when I adjust this, it makes the steering trim out. So I can make the plane go in a straight line. Just use the trim to get it to where it starts going in a straight line. And now it's hands off. I'm not even steering it at all. It's like I can just use the left trim switch and tell it where to go. But it's a straight line now. It should be a lot easier to operate and fly. So we'll go ahead and one more time, just hands off the stick. And there we go, simple enough. All right, quick control positioning guide so you guys know how to get the thing to behave the way mine is if you want it to be like that. Outermost hole on the servo arm on both elevators. Outermost hole on the control linkage right here. So that'll get you deflections that look like this with 150% travel. The plane doesn't seem to care at all about it. Generally speaking, most planes don't care. As long as you don't bind them, that's when the servos have a problem. Same thing with the ailerons, 150 travel on both. Outermost hole, anything more than that is frankly too much. On top of that, the rudder was left alone because it's already in the optimal position. So pretty much that's all you need control-wise to get it there. If you want it to fly as ridiculous as mine, I highly recommend AS3X gains of, 70 pitch, 25 roll, and like 20 yaw. And basically that'll get you to where I'm at right now with 2x gains. That's all you need. You can make it a little bit less pitch sensitive by changing the priority from 160 to 100. That'll make it so that the plane has less of an effect on the stabilization depending on where the stick position is. So that's what priority means. So see how like I have the stick about halfway through and the stab isn't moving, but now it is because I let go of the stick. As I keep adding more stick input, it doesn't do that. If you change the priority to 100, it'll have an effect throughout the entire range of the stick. Even if I peg it, it'll still try to correct for it a little bit. So that's one of the ways that you can kind of emulate a flight computer on these models with these AS3X systems, is you can trick them into behaving more like the full-scale jet. In this case, I don't think it needs it, although if I got the center of gravity a little bit further forward, it would definitely need priority to 100. I've had to do that with bigger jets like the F-22, the F-16-80, the Eurofighter, because anything else, like they get into high alpha, they lock, and then they start to slide and crash. You've already seen that a couple of times by this point, but that's just something to be aware of. It's a pitfall. If you want to fly the way I do, you have to be aware that sometimes you got to get quick on pushing that nose back down, straightening it out with rudder. If it starts to go this way, kick it back with rudder, throttle up, and get the hell out of there, because otherwise it's going to go right into the ground.